So let's go on to our first demonstration in this beginning class, and that is we're going to check out how to fix RedEye. We're going to look at it in both quick and expert modes. Go over here to Open and navigate to where your photos are that for the class. Mine are in Pictures, Photoshop Elements Class Files, and RedEye. So I want all three of these. I can click and drag and select all three. I can one by one select all three. The other option I have is using Control A to select. So if I want to open everything in the folder, I can do any of those things. So I want to open all three of those, and I'm going to say Open. So let's check it out. We are in Quick, and if I go down here to Photo Bin, there are all the files that I have open. Okay, now over on here on the left in the toolbar, I have a tool just for RedEye removal. I can take care of it there. Up across the top, you see Enhance. If I click on Enhance, here I also have Auto RedEye Fix. So if I click that, it will just automatically do it. Let's try that. Took care of the RedEye fix. Good. I'm going to use Control Z to get back. So I can just do it automatically right there. If I choose to use the toolbar over here, I can click on it, and you will not have don't have pet eye selected. You won't have that selected the first time. If I choose this, I have another spot where I can use autocorrect. If I do that, it does an autocorrect. This particular photo works well with autocorrect. Not all of them will. So those are the two different places you can do it. Other options you have here are pupil radius and darken. I have experimented with those. Whenever I'm faced with some options, especially if it's got some kind of a slider bar or it has a value that I can put in it, I experiment with that one by one, and I slide it all the way to one side, all the way to the other, and see what happens and see what effects I get. I've experimented with both radius and darken, and in this instance, just leaving them at 50% seems to work. But if we're not going to do it with autocorrect, let's see how we would do it. We need to zoom in on her eyes. We really should zoom in on anything that we're working on. Let's look over here on our toolbar. Very top, zoom tool. So I can click there and zoom in just by clicking. Let's go back. I can zoom in by clicking. I can zoom in with this slider. I can one-to-one, so that what that means is every pixel in my image will be one pixel on my screen. I can click here so that it fills the screen, but when it says fills the screen, it just fills the screen in whatever dimension is the smallest. Fit screen is you'll probably use more. It'll fit the whole thing back in the screen. Now, you will be doing this a lot. So let's look at this. If I zoom in like this, this eye is off. I need to move it over. Well, that's what this hand over here is for. Let's click on the hand, and now I can move around. So I will be using zoom often. See, maybe I'm in too far. I want to zoom back a little bit. Now I need to adjust with the hand. These two things you'll want to use often whenever you're working in a photo, because you want to zoom into a spot, you want to zoom back out again to look at it. And it is really counterproductive to constantly be going over to the toolbar to do it. So let me go back to Fit Screen and describe to you a better way to do that. There are some hotkeys that if you work with this Photoshop enough, that you're going to want to use. I'm going to get off of, this is my default tool over here. It's the Move tool. It's sort of the default tool. So I'm going to go to that. That's just, and if I want to zoom in, I can hold down the space bar, which, by the way, look what happens when I hold down the space bar. I get the hand, so I could move it, but I need to be zoomed in order to move it. But if I hold down the space bar with one finger and the Control with the other, I get the zoom in. I can either draw around the spot that I want to have zoomed in, or let's go back, or spacebar control, I can click and click on the spot that you want to be in the center. That'll work. Now remember when I held down the spacebar before I got to the control, and it had the hand. So with the hand, this is just holding down the spacebar. I don't have to go over there and pick the hand. So just the hand will help me pan. Spacebar control, I can zoom in, and spacebar alt, I can zoom back out. This might seem confusing right now, but do it because you will get used to it fast and it will help you tremendously. So let's zoom in a little bit more and center our face. And now I'm going to go back to the RedEye tool. And the way the RedEye tool works, if you're not going to use autocorrect, is you move your cursor over and you can see I've got a little X there with a red in it. Oh, excuse me, a little X with an eye on it. I come over and click on the eye and it will change it. Now, having done it this way, it doesn't seem to be any good reason not to use auto, but this picture, the eyes work very, very easily and very well. So you don't need to do it over and over again. But let's look at another one. Let me go back to the photo bin. Actually, these eyes, I happen to know work well too. But let's go over to the pet, to the dog. Pets are completely different. They actually don't get red eye. Let's zoom in. Their eyes look kind of weird, crazy when you do this. And I'm going to go to RedEye and say pet eye. Now, autocorrect is grayed out. You can't even click it and it won't work. A pet now, you'll get this green center and then this light around here. If look at your pet right now, they do not have this iris that's a different color. Actually, that's all black too. But let's click in here and that's what a pet eye should look like. We'll go over to this one and click, and if you see, it didn't do it. Sometimes this actually happens when you do it with people too. And what you need to do is click again, and didn't do it again. I'm going to do a Control Z. That didn't work at all. Oh, okay, that was it. If it doesn't do it right, the second time I put a little mark over here, I needed to use the Control Z to get it back. So there's the pet eye. And sometimes what I just did with the pet, you'll have to do with the with people too. I don't know if you noticed up here it says the word after. You have the option to view we're on after only. You have an option to view your before picture, just your after picture, or both. This is a quick mode thing. You can view both of these. Now, when you save this, you will be saving just the after. It won't save it over top of your other one. It will ask you and it'll change its name, but you will be saving just the after. In quick mode, you can only save one single picture, one single layer. So, giving you that little hint right there, I'm going to go up to expert mode. Let's go to expert mode. And in the photo bin, let's bring up this one right here. Okay, you have all the same options. I'm going to zoom in. Spacebar, control, zoom in, pan. I can go up to enhance and say auto fix RedEye, and it did it. Let's go back. Excuse me. Control Z. Okay. I can go to RedEye over here, and when I unclick pet eye, I can say autocorrect. It will do it. Yes. Control Z. And I can come in here and click, and it will also do it. Okay, so everything about it seems the same, but where we have the difference is over here on the right. I have this layer of my image that I have over here. And What I am able to do in expert mode is to save a single file that will keep my original photo, all my original data, and my modified or updated data. And it will just be on a different, what's called, layer. And here's how I'm going to do that. I have this layer, and I want to make sure that I do not change any of this original information. I want to keep it. I want to make sure that I always have my original information. In Quick, I have to save 2 different files to do that. In Expert, I can do it all in one file. So what I want to do is make a duplicate of this and then make the fix on it. This is the background layer. Look here across the top. Create new layer, and these are other things that we will look in, but what you'll be using the most at first here is delete layer and create new layer. I want to duplicate this layer. A way to do that is to click on the layer, drag it up, and go over there, create new layer. And now I have 2 layers. You can rename these. In fact, maybe I'll rename this one Fixed. These little eyeballs over here indicate the layer visibility. So I can turn the layer off. See, there's a line through it, but you didn't notice any difference because there's another one underneath. Let me click on this one. So now they're both turned off. And whenever you see these checkerboard over here, that means that it is transparent. There are no pixels on that. Excuse me. If you see a layer that is completely white, it's not empty. A white layer actually is full. It's full of white pixels, but not unless it is checkerboard is it empty. So I can turn this one back on. Let's turn them both back on again. And now I'm going to do my fix on this layer. Let's zoom in, and I'll take my RedEye and fix it. Okay, I fixed it on this top layer, and the reason I know I fixed it on this top layer, see, it's highlighted in blue. That's the one layer that I was on. It's highlighted in blue. Let's turn off its visibility. And now I see the layer underneath which wasn't fixed. That's the only difference with a couple of things, RedEye being one of them. You can do the same thing in both of them, except with expert mode you can use layers. And when you save this file now, let's say File, Save, and look at the option that I have here. Before I opened up a JPG, it's telling me now it wants to save this as a .psd, which stands for Photoshop document. And I can save this, and if I save this, let's save it, and it did. If I save this, next time I open it, I will have both of my layers, and I only have to deal with one file. So that's sort of the main and the basic difference between Quick and Expert.